Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you? Then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Saiyan, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Paul, 10th Man, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people on Discord. Very good to have you one and all.
Good afternoon.
Yo, yo.
Hello, hello, hello. What ho?
Hello. Any signs of Earth curvature? Talking to you, Discord server. Ballers. No? Any signs of Earth curvature? Keen panel?
Nah.
No curvature here, Nathan. Nope.
Crickets.
Any signs of axial rotation in that case?
Not of
No.
zero gravity.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
There's no confirmed measured distance to the sun.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
That's a trick question.
It's a question with an answer in it.
Well, it's technically impossible.
Nada.
So
That's the answer. Can't have gas pressure without something to press upon. The walls of a container are what give you the gas pressure.
Nathan, we're talking about gravity. Gravity would cause pressure.
Oh, right. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity. Scientific evidence thereof.
Travis, you need to show up just to do that every day, please.
Things fall?
Sorry,
Things fall?
I'll just
that's
repeat the
scientific
question.
evidence.
I'll just repeat the
love it.
question. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity. Scientific evidence thereof.
When I pee, it falls on the ground.
That's
The
scientific
Boo
evidence.
Crew.
That's it, good folks.
doesn't-
We got science.
It
It's
usually
all
goes down the toilet, right? Things go down the
Well,
toilet.
Nathan, you can pack up now because
Is
you
that
finally
your-
found the scientific evidence.
Is that your standard? Is that your standard for science? Things fall. No wonder why you guys believe all this stuff.
Do we have another things fall down, go boom boom?
Yes. Things go down, go boom boom, apparently.
Down, down.
Don't get him started, chocolate.
yeah, thanks. Oh,
So, have you got
I'm
any
going-
scientific
we have-
evidence or not?
There is evidence of more pressure the further you go down. So, like in oceans, the further you go down in an ocean, there's more pressure involved.
I'll just say it a third time. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
That would be evidence.
You do
Certainly,
know what
sure.
scientific evidence entails, right?
Does there need to be a scientist involved, like a guy in a white coat?
That's not what makes science science. A scientist doesn't make science. Man in a white coat. Sorry, why are you laughing while
So,
I'm in the middle of a sentence?
So,
Somebody else.
readdress what makes science scientific evidence.
So you don't understand what scientific evidence is? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just want your explanation of it so that I can address
No,
your
that's not
question.
gonna-
Really, we are on show 880, and I have talked about science for approximately 700 of those shows. So maybe listen to the show as opposed to giving us what you call evidence and brushing past the scientific bit, then asking me to define something that you don't understand. Maybe look it up rather than holding up the housekeeping without scientific evidence of gravity.
Well, I just want to understand what you understand as scientific evidence.
Just divine it. Just make it up.
No, that would be unfair. It would be unfair of me to divine that information.
Right.
As you clearly said to me previously, I shouldn't be able to divine things.
Okie dokie.
So
science is
I
fairly
would
well... Okay, don't just keep droning on. Science is fairly reasonably... That's a contradiction. But very thoroughly defined. You can find this information of your own volition. My thoughts and feelings on it are irrelevant. It's just a method.
Should I just Google it, Oakley? Should I just
Sure,
Google it?
I'll give you a hint at what to Google. The scientific method. Evidence that we're looking for will have
And I should trust that.
What I would
right?
advise
should
is
trust
when someone's talking,
what I
giving you an
Googled
answer
there.
to your question, given that you don't know, I would not talk when that person's telling you. That's what you've just done. So I would advise.
But I'm
yeah, you're doing
I'm
it again there,
interested-
son. Yeah, you're doing it again.
But I'm
You're doing it again. You see, I'm
but I'm
trying to give you some
interested.
tips, and you're continuing
When
to talk.
I said earlier.
Right, this guy's an asshole. Let's shut that guy up. Wanker, go and scientific method Google search. Yeah, that's what you need to do, not continually babble on through something that should be quite concise. Do you have scientific evidence of gravity? The answer from you, the guy who doesn't know what science is definitely no.
Hey, Nathan, after you're done, we have Zanuck on board, so
We're
just
nearly
let you
there.
know.
Nearly
Right.
there. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Moving on. Any evidence of the R value?
Nothing over here, Nathan, on Discord.
Nope, that's it then. That rounds out the housekeeping.
There's definitely evidence of the R.
You're a bit quiet, Zanuck. Let's see if I can turn you up. Shout out to Paul Hall for the super chat. Scientism is not the scientific method. Indeedy do. Thanks for the super chat, Paul Hall.
What was that, Zanuck?
I said there's evidence of the R. You can calculate that pretty easily from the curve you can measure.
Can you get closer to your mic?
Okay.
There you go. How's that? A little better?
Much better. That's better.
Good.
Okay, good. So you can calculate R by knowing the circumference of a sphere. And you can do that by looking at the observable curvature by how things drop in the distance.
You were here the whole housekeeping, right? What curvature?
Curvature.
What sphere?
Things falling away in the distance, measurably.
You'll have to repeat that. I'm sorry, Zanuck. Say that again.
Mountains missing in the distance, measurably measuring curvature, measuring the circumference of the Earth, which can be measuring the R value.
Like, mountains disappear. That was so convoluted. Just say it all again concisely. What gives you the R value exactly?
In the distance, mountains sinking Mountains that are missing or hidden by curvature proves a circumference. The circumference will prove the R. And I use the word proof because mathematics is pretty defined. It's not a construct. It's not made up. It's not in our imagination. It's
Okay, I've got it. So let's just take it one step at a time. Mountains in the distance disappearing. You then inserted that's curvature. So validate that.
or they fell into a sinkhole. There's two options.
Sorry, there's only two options. Either they go over Earth curve or they go into sinkholes. You think that false dichotomy is our only options?
There are some minor variables like refraction, but that's not enough to substantiate what we see.
And how will you be measuring refraction?
Well, there's actually calculations of refraction based on the air density and temperature and humidity.
Okay, right, cool. Let's see it.
If you even had refraction, it would actually allow you to see
maybe you
more
didn't
than
hear
we
me,
see.
Zanik. Yeah, I got it all. Now show me.
Okay, I'm going to discount it all together. We don't even need to look at refraction because it doesn't work that way.
No. Right, you've given us an example of how you've acquired the R value with mountains disappearing with a false dichotomy either over a presupposed Earth curve or into a sinkhole. You've then declared that there's also the factor... I'm talking, Zanik. I'm summarising what you've told us. That there's also measured effects based on atmospheric conditions of refraction that will be taken into consideration. That's wonderful. Now show this to me, please.
You want a citation? You want a calculation? What do you want? A formula? Equation? What do you want?
The example that you've just given. You've just given us an example. I've just summarised it. You talked over me. This time, don't talk over me. Okay? Listen to what I say. You've just told us you have an example of how to calculate the R value based on mountains in the distance, a false dichotomy of either Earth curve presupposition or sinkholes, and also a factoring in of refraction. I'm now asking you to show us this example that you extrapolate the R value from.
Fair enough. Let me post a picture in Discord.
Hey, Nathan, I'll go ahead and share the screen.
What's the holdup? Just give us what you've described, Zanik. What's the holdup? You've just described something in great detail. Now I want you to show it me. Why is the silence? I don't get it.
It's not going into Discord. For some reason, it's not actually allowing it to go.
Put it in live stream.
There it is. Okay, I got it.
The sound of your clicking is louder than you are, Zanik. You realise that, right?
Okay.
We've been over this before, haven't we?
Well, we haven't, but we left out one critical element of looking at this before. And what the critical element is when you start speaking of refraction, the refraction is going to allow you to see more than we see. We're actually seeing missing 7,000 foot of that mountain. Refraction would work the other way around. It actually allow us to see more of it.
Really? How?
Has he
How does
heard
that
of
work?
sinking? Has he heard of
Do you
sinking?
know how refraction
and part of the refraction?
You understand how refraction works?
Sorry, just
have you heard?
Yes, I
hold
do.
Hold on, please, John. Hold on. Sorry. So, you said that there's a mountain. I can see a mountain. So, what's all the refractive index values? Is that what's at the bottom?
At the bottom, we're looking at where the bottom of the mountain would be, and that's why there's a scale on the right-hand side of the picture.
Don't tell me something other than what I've asked for. You said the refractive values had all been measured. Just tell me where that is.
There is no refraction in the direction that would allow the mountain to be looming.
That's a description.
Arwin. You said they had it measured. I want to see those measurements or understand them if they're already being shown?
You wanted to see the effect of a mountain sinking in the distance. And I sent the
No. I summarised twice, with interruption from you, what you said you had. Measured refractive values based on atmospheric conditions. That's what you said. Now, are they not on this picture?
You're focusing on a minor factor of this.
I'm focusing on what you said you had.
I have a picture of a mountain disappearing in the distance by 7,000 feet of 11,000 feet.
Don't keep summarising what... Zanik, you're going to piss me off real fast, right? I listened to what you said you'd got. Yeah? I summarised what you said you've got. Now I've put something that you've presented on screen, and if you're going to tell me an aspect that needs to be taken into account has not been measured when you said it has been measured, I'm going to call you a liar. So either you say, yes, what I detailed, including the measurements of the refractive indexes, is on this, and you need to apologise for even hinting that I'm a liar, or no, they're not on there as I declared, and then I will call you a liar. So which is it?
The refractive index is not on the picture. You're
right, you lying sack of shit. Why are you coming here and lying to us? So you don't have that. So refraction, Zanik, because you've obviously wormed it and weaseled it in because you realise that that's an effect that does need to be taken into consideration, that does need to be accurately measured. This is meaningless without that little detail that you told us you had, you liar. So next time, Zanik, you better make damn sure that you come with all of those refractive indexes. Now, what I want, because I'm an unreasonable flat earther, is it measured every single foot between us and the observation. Because apparently, according to your zealot priest Rumpus, there's these little layers of glass that go all the way, infinite little layers of glass refracting the light along a presupposed curve. So I'm going to need to see the measurements for every single one of those presupposed bits of glass refracting the atmosphere and the light. I need to see every single one of those measurements. The fact that you said you'd got them and then you present this shit without it is a bloody outrage, you liar.
Are you finished?
How dare you? You are a liar. Am I finished? No, I'm not finished. Don't come here and lie to us. Don't tell us you've got refractive measured indexes and then don't give them us. And then when I have to pin you down and you tell us what you have got 3 or 4 times, obfuscating the lie that you've told us, how dare you ask if I'm finished? You're finished, you sack of shit liar. You've got nothing.
The refractive index of air is 1.
You're a liar. You don't have anything. I've just made it clear. You don't have measured refractive indexes. You said you got them. Now you're going to rumpus and claim that your presupposed measurements are satisfactory or something. You haven't got the thing you said you had, making you a liar. I'm no longer interested in anything you claim, you liar, because you're a liar. Don't say you've got measured refractive indexes when you haven't, and then bullshit your way around them. That just makes you a liar.
Arwen talked about the refractive effect.
I don't want to talk about them. I want to see the measurements, you dumb ass.
It only works against your presupposed
How the hell would you know you haven't got the measurements? How the hell would you know? You're going to divine the measurements, are you?
So when you look at and see the Earth is flat, how
you haven't answered, mate. You haven't answered. Are you going to divine the measurements?
You can't possibly expect.
It's a yes or no question, Zanik, you lying sack of shit. It's a lie. Oi, liar. Oi, liar. Listen to the question. Don't talk over it and just answer. Are you going to divine the refractive indexes?
In this example, the air is cooler than the ground. So refraction.
Oh, so he is. So that's a yes. I am now going to divine the conditions that are in this picture because I've got refractovision.
You're getting triggered because you know I'm right.
Oh yeah, I know you're right, Spider-Man with your refractovision. You know exactly what the air temperature was on that day. You know exactly how much it changed foot by foot between you and observation, don't you? Because you're a fracto man.
No, what we do know, though, the air in no circumstance would the air be cooler than the ground or warmer.
We know. No, you measure, dipshit, the thing you said you had before you presented lies.
You don't need to measure it. You know that the...
Oh, now we don't need to. He told us that's what he'd got. Now he's telling us he doesn't need to do it because he hasn't got it. The very thing he claimed he'd got.
Because I understand how refraction works.
Yeah,
Don't
you
laugh
just need
here,
to assume
sunshine.
the R-based refraction.
He's laughing. I'll tell you who he's laughing at. The audience. The people who want to believe him when he says he's on a spinning ball. The audience are who you're laughing at when you lie to them. You didn't have what you claimed. You're just going to divine the atmospheric conditions based on your presupposition. We haven't even got to the bit where you presuppose curve. We haven't even got there yet. We've literally just got to the point where we see whether or not you've got what you claimed. We haven't even started to rip apart your actual presupposition of Earth curve being the cause. We've only got to whether or not you've got what you've claimed you've got, and you haven't. And you still want to continue.
And this was proof of radius?
What an
How is that
absolute
proof
joke.
of radius?
I think the guy
You figured
thinks
out-
it's okay to beg the
you figured out
question here. I think he's not informed properly about that.
Really?
It's a liar.
What am I not
Lied.
informed about?
Said we need refractive indexes, said we've got them measured, and
I
atmospheric
gave you a
conditions made it
refractive
seem really
index. I gave you a
important.
refractive-
And then when
refractive index of air-
asked whether or not he's actually got them, and pointing out like I am now that he hasn't, he talks all over me non-stop. So I don't humiliate the lying little shit. You haven't got anything that you claimed you'd got. We haven't even got to ripping apart the claim itself. Just challenging you based on what you said you'd got. And you haven't even got it. It's pathetic.
I gave you a refractive index, and I gave you a picture of a mountain missing 7,000 feet.
Did you just say I gave you a
Based on
refractive
what?
index, liar? So he's just
Based on
literally
your wet
claimed.
finger work.
He's just literally claimed he's given us a refractive index. Lying sack of shit.
No, 1.
Refracto man.
03.
Refracto man.
Yeah, you
Oh,
laugh
there's
it up,
this
you
thing about
liar.
actual-
That's what liars do when they get caught. They have a little chuckle to themselves. Oh, the gig's up. My lie's been caught out. You disgust
Right, I don't
me.
have it on that.
You disgust me.
No, I don't. You're just frustrated.
Yes, you disgust me. Liars, cheats, scammers, swindlers, frauds. That's what you are. You disgust me.
Because I'm
triggering subjects. We
evidence
just
of a
need
rounding
to
error.
calm down a little bit.
I'm leaving out a rounding error, and that disgusts you. Okay.
Can I ask you
So
a
what-
question, sir?
You're a liar.
ahead.
That's what disgusts
Please,
me.
Nathan,
Your lies.
This may be relevant, Nathan. Please. So,
Sorry, Owen.
how have you been following the flat Earth debates, and for how long?
Well, for a while now.
How long, please?
A couple of years, maybe.
Wow.
That's just
Okay,
not
then
good.
yeah, Nathan's right. You have no excuse. Absolutely.
For not bringing the evidence. We're discussing things. Someone asked for evidence.
You
of
should be
curvature
knowing
or-
better. You should have been educated by the system of debating and argumentation that we have been deepening here on the show very regularly. You should know about these things, and you should know that your approach is just inferior. It doesn't work.
Shout out to Paul Hall. Scientism, give just so stories.
So fallacy.
Indeed,
You just
Paul
can't
Hall.
discount someone's
Shout out for the
based
super
on-
chat.
Pardon me?
He's shut out for super chat.
Yeah, you were over talking
Zanuck-
him while Zanuck, you were over talking him while he was giving the shout out there. Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Zanuck, isn't it true that an IR infrared photo is the is to reduce the refraction?
No, it's to filter out certain wavelengths of light and noise and distortion.
And is those lights part of those refractions?
Do you understand how refraction works?
Do you understand
I'll
how
call them
refraction
Nates.
works?
Oh no, sir. We're not going down this road.
I would
Well,
like
we
to.
know how-
I
let
would
me-
like to. We already
refraction-
threw him over. He has no argument, basically.
That's
But
what
I
I'm
would like
saying.
to go
Re-
into the details of how
refraction
refraction
changes the
actually
speed.
works.
From Zanuck,
Yes,
he's already
refraction
been
changes
toe
the
tagged.
speed of light and
We
look.
know, John.
Yeah,
As
we're
you
not
go
doing
through-
this. We're not wasting
Why
the
not?
time.
No, you're not doing this, but we
You're
are
changing the-
actually doing
No,
you're changing
you're
the
not.
density of the median.
You
You
it. Okay,
get-
Nathan,
Interrupt
John
each
is
other.
disrupting the conversation. please.
No, what's happening is
You asked me.
what's
how-
happening is Zanuck,
You asked
who's
me a question. I'm going to
Zanuk's trying to distract from the embarrassing, humiliating situation.
No, absolutely not. I wasn't even done with that.
Not you, Zanuck. So what Zanuck's doing is obfuscating his abject failure, his lies, his deceit, and all he can do is rumpus when that's pointed out. Now, deviating away from the fact that he hasn't provided what he said he would in terms of refractive indexes or anything that he said that he had, doesn't mean that he suddenly gets to chat about refraction. You know, if you're going to make a claim that you've got refraction under your belt in your example, and then you don't get to talk about that subject. It seems totally unreasonable that he should be the one to now talk about refraction.
Well, it was mostly going to be me talking about it and actually schooling him about what I've learned about refraction.
Talk to the audience.
And the audience.
Fine. Just don't address it to Zanuck. He's not worthy of your conversation, that's all.
No, but I am kind of directing it to him, despite everything.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right, so Zanuck, look, the thing about refraction, how we in the Flat Earth debates first arrived with refraction is the Globers gave it as an argument as to why things would be looming around the curve and be visible at such a distance, okay? But then we basically got a couple of people out here that really know the details about optics and lenses and have studied that stuff. And then we figured out that the terrestrial refraction that supposedly looms things around curves doesn't really have any viable evidence for it, any physical proof. It's basically an assumption, and then sometimes the Globers try to demonstrate it by showing like super cold gases over a curve and how light would kind of bend to that. But it's all wizardry. It's all trickery. There's no actual physical scientific evidence for that. So what you're talking about is terrestrial refraction, but there is no actual evidence for it. It's an assumption. It's an R-based assumption.
So you're saying refraction does not
Hold
occur.
on. Almost done. Actual refraction, however, does exist. What you notice it with the most is when you let light transfer a different type of medium. So, for example, if you have a light, you shine it through the air onto a glass aquarium with water in it. Now, the light path is definitely going to bend. That's the most noticeable form of actual proven refraction. Now, there's one thing about that. The bending really works when there is a medium transit. An actual medium transit. So say from gas to solid or gas to liquid. Now, when we look through the atmosphere, there is no such medium transfer. There is only the gas you're looking through, and maybe there may be deviations within that gas due to how much water is dissolved in it and all of that.
No. It's density and
hold
temperature.
on. Because there is no medium transfer, the actual refraction is literally insignificant. And what it effectively does is diffuse the light rather than bend it around.
What do you
now that doesn't explain all things because there are still miraging effects, all that, and they are not attributed to refraction.
It bends the light, but how are you saying it's not bending the light? It's doing something else?
Thank you for listening without interrupting. So.
What was the word? I asked a question. I couldn't understand the word you used. You said
maybe if you hadn't interrupted me, okay, then you would have heard it.
I told you not to address it to him.
You said it doesn't bend the light. What does it do?
It doesn't
diffuse.
It doesn't bend a light around a curved surface. That doesn't work. It changes the angle of the light if there is a medium change.
Correct.
Like
or density change or temperature change. Yes.
Yeah, the temperature has an influence, but the actual significant element to it is the medium change. Yes, heat has an influence on the refraction index, but the medium change is the thing that really makes it divert its path. And in a singular medium, the atmosphere, which may have different pressures, all that, but it's still one gaseous atmosphere. Through that, it's not going to have the same deviation result with the light path because it is a singular medium.
I'm going to read out Rune Thornson's comment. No, it is the problem with the terminology. It never bends light in any case. It changes angles.
Yes. Yeah.
Every wavelength of light will have a different angle change. That's why you get a rainbow if you had the amount of diffraction, of refraction that we were talking about possible in making a mountain sink that much or rise that much.
No, that's not the refraction you'll
What
be
does
applying.
that have to do with rainbows?
Yeah, that's
Because
real refraction.
that's how refraction works.
Zanik.
If you had a huge
Zanik,
pool of refraction
Zanik,
due to the
Zanik. That's not terrestrial refraction.
It is terrestrial refraction. Of course,
Nope.
it is.
No. That's
Terrestrial
You
refraction
don't understand how it
is
works.
7 over
You're going
6r. 7 over 6r. That's what terrestrial refraction is.
That's the index. That's a general
No.
average.
That's a 7 over 6 of a begging the question radius value that you said you were trying to prove when you made this example. So according to the mathematics that will be applied, you will beg the question and already have a radius value, something that you said you would be proving with this example. So this is the end of this conversation.
You got it backwards.
The end.
radius-
You have begged
got
the
it backwards.
question.
In my explanation, it's the first thing I explained to you.
Downward.
Terrestrial
Refraction
refraction is a myth. Actual refraction is a different effect. It doesn't bend around a curve. It deviates the light path upon medium transition.
You have to have a denser air above the surface of the water or air.
Oh, can you show us
Correct.
that? Can you show the measurements for the picture that you
That
gave
an
us?
abrupt medium transition.
Hold on, Owen. We'll just draw the conclusion again. The one that was deviated away from. So that's what you need, is it, Zanik? And do you have those for those images?
Yes.
Give them to
Sheeples
me.
posted that. The green laser bending upward across
No,
the
no,
lake.
no, Zanik. Not a different example. The example that you gave. Not a new example.
You'll never get it because we're over land
Zanik,
and
you're
people
talking
walk.
over me constantly. So you gave an example, I put it up on screen, I went to the effort of transitioning across to that example. Now, I've asked it before and you've said no, but now in conversation you've made it clear that we'd need to know temperature differentials, even though terrestrial refraction is 7 over 6 of the begging the question fallacy, i.e. you're assuming your outcome in the very value of refraction that you're trying to prove, r. So 7 over 6 r already includes r. So it's begging the question, Zanik.
You're saying that the light is bending downward with that ratio.
No, I'm saying that's refraction. What
It's
you
bending,
will
that's why they
apply
do 7 or 6.
before he talks all over me, because of course it's the globe head mute button. I'm going to have to start pointing out when the globe head mute button comes along, because when I point out that Zanik's begging the question, that terrestrial refraction 7 over 6r includes the very thing he's trying to prove, therefore begging the question, it's time for him to talk all over me. He's not got any of the refractive values that he said he'd need only moments earlier, and when asked if he's got them for the picture again that he didn't because he lied, he talks all over me then as well. So you're begging the question, Zanik. You've already got r, and you're trying to prove r.
I got R from the amount of sinking the mountains are observed to have.
Yeah, that's why it's begging the question. If you're trying to prove R, this is why you brought this up, I can prove R. You've already got it. That's called begging the question. Assuming the very thing you're trying to prove in your outcome.
We've observed it. We've observed.
Oh, so now we've observed it. So your example wasn't us measuring R then. You're just going to tell us that it's been observed and it's okay to beg the question. No, you stupid idiot.
The measurement is.
Oh, now he's been caught out, so he's going to have a little chuckle. Yeah, when I point out that he's already got an R value, and that's begging the question, assuming your outcome, yeah, he says, we already know. Trying to justify his begging the question fallacy. And then he has a little chuckle when the penny drops. Or rumpuses the living shit out of me and talks incessantly while I point out his logical fallacy. Because, of course, the conclusion of his mistake, his flaw in his logic, that needs to be censored. He needs to talk all over the top of me pointing out that terrestrial refraction, the bending of light, as he calls it, 7 over 6 R, is the very thing he's trying to prove with his example. He said he'd measured R. No, my friend, we know it. Demonstrates admirably that you're assuming it already. Begging the question. Fallacious reasoning, not sound, Zanik. End of conversation.
You'd have to establish the R thing first, I guess, when you're otherwise it's going to be circular. And
Even Dawn gets it, Zanik.
No, we've measured the curve of the Earth by the drop of the mountain, and then we can then extrapolate and get R value from that.
I guess
Why
he
is
wants
it
to see that.
Oh,
doesn't he? He
sorry.
wants to see that.
No.
But what if the drop value is not consistent?
Sorry, you said we can get R from it. Then you made it clear, Zanik, that refraction was also something that needed to be taken into consideration. So, what are you going to now... Sorry, Zanik, I'm still talking. Yeah, you know what I mean? I know. A loss is terribly, terribly heartbreaking for you. But that doesn't mean that you non-stop talk over the obliteration of your fallacious logic. I'll point it out whether you like it or not, Zanik. Assuming one's outcome is begging the question. And the very refraction I claimed you were a liar, because you are, that refraction in your world is 7/6R, terrestrial refraction. And that is what you're trying to prove. Now, you can chuckle about it because you've been caught out begging the question, but it doesn't make it sound logic. It doesn't mean that the very thing that I called you a liar on suddenly can be whistled past and told that it can be an extrapolation based on your begging the question fallacy. No, Zanik. You don't just get to keep on piling on more fallacious logic. I've had enough.
Fallacious logic and observation, showing curvature and then you can extrapolate out.
Showing curvature. You just can't help it. He's got to beg the question. Just tell it. Praise be to R. Tell us that it's curvature when you can't prove it with measurements or facts or information or refractive indexes that assume the outcome are. Yeah, when you can't do any of that, just tell us that it's a photo of curve. Just tell us that you're assuming your outcome. Yeah, that'll work, Zanik. Just tell us it's curve. It's curve.
It is curve.
Yeah, you fundy dick. I love it when the fundies make my point literally seconds after I've made my point. Yeah, you're going to beg the question whether we like it or not. You're going to demand that it's curvature. Yeah, okay, Zanik.
Okay, then
pipe down, son. Pipe down. Yeah. Pipe down. Sit back down.
Refraction works to my advantage, not yours.
Yeah, because you assume that it's got an R value in it. Yeah, you can be damn sure that's going to work to your advantage if I let you beg the question and assume your outcome. But I'm not going to, Zanik. How many times have we got to do this?
Terrestrial refraction, the value you gave us would allow us to see more of the mountain than we actually do.
Yeah,
terrestrial refraction is 7/6R, and this example is supposed to be a measurement of R. So you've already got R, and you're proposing that this is a proof of measuring R. So you've already got the thing that you're claiming you're trying to prove, the very essence of begging the question. No, isn't going to work.
We're observing. In fact, we're seeing a little more of the mountain than we should due to refraction.
A little more than we should? Oh, should according to what?
According to basic trigonometry.
Trigonometry based on, trigonometry based on what?
Based on the law of sines, law of cosines, law of triangles. These are laws. You like the second law of thermo, why not law of math?
Those are mathematical laws.
Arwin?
Yes,
so
and you don't believe that.
Arwin, thank you so much. Now he won't shut up. So, the mathematics of a sphere, perchance?
Mathematics of a triangle, making it easy for you.
Oh, so it's a triangle?
Triangle.
Why would we be doing the mathematics of a triangle?
We should see the entire mountain.
Sorry. According to you, it's dropping around a sphere, correct? You said compared to how much we should see, and I'm asking based on what? And you've said mathematics. I've said mathematics of what? You just don't want to go into the trap again, do you, Zanik? We all know that it's the mathematics of a sphere, Zanik, but you just won't say it.
Slightly less than 8 inches per mile squared missing. That is a sphere.
Yeah, so you're already assuming that the amount that's gone is because of how much a sphere says should be gone. So that's 2 counts of begging the question. So according to you, the picture demonstrates how much should be gone on a sphere. Well, isn't that the very thing you're trying to prove? So saying this is how much is gone on a sphere assumes you are on a sphere. again begging the question, Zanek.
Well, how much is gone if you're on a flat plane? That is not begging the question. That shows that there is missing 7,000 feet out of 11,000 feet.
And what's the cause of that? Okay. What's the cause? What cause is that?
Earth curve.
Nathan, can I ask you something?
See? No matter what happens, they must beg the question. So when I say, what causes that? He automatically goes to his religious assertion of Earth curve. He already knows the cause because he's begging the question. He's just too dumb to accept it and must obfuscate and rumpus me when I point it out. You can be damn sure that Zanek's going to talk indefinitely when I point out that how much is missing on a sphere assumes you're on a sphere. Begging the question, Zanek. It's all you can do. Go ahead, Paul. Shut up, Zanek.
Hey, Zanek, let me ask you a question. Can you explain to me how mathematics has any causal relationship in this world? But can you explain the connection between mathematics and causation? Because I didn't think an abstract concept can have any kind of causal effect. I would help. Could you help me out with that?
Sure, no problem. So if I'm looking at a triangle and I lengthen one side, that lengthening of the side will cause an angle change. There, cause and effect. Done.
You said something in there when you cause the line, when you cause the angle change. So math didn't cause it, you caused it.
Oh God. When you observe a lengthening of a distance, you will see an angle change. Cause and effect.
What caused the lengthening of the distance? Did mathematics cause that?
No, the observation.
Changing an angle is considered math, but I don't agree that.
Go on, he's not talking to you.
If I look at two different distances, I will get two different angles.
So looking is the cause. So not math, but looking is the cause of what you're saying.
Really? You're going there? Looking is the cause? No.
I mean, I'm asking you about math, but everything you're describing, it's either observation, which is looking, either I'm doing something, which is me causing it. You still haven't shown how math has a causal relation. You still haven't done that.
How math has a causal relationship. Yes, I just told you, explained it in a simple demonstration.
No, you didn't. I just said it. Observation is not a cause. You're saying my observation caused it. That's what you're saying.
I can make two observations, one of a longer distance than the other. I'll have two different angles. The observation is not the cause.
But no, my question is, we're talking about math. So I'm asked the question is, how does math or angles have any causal power or relationship? So far, you've not done that.
Okay, so I add 1 plus 1 and I get 2. There's the causal and the causal.
Another example.
No,
but I added the 1. But I added the 1 to the 1, so I'm the cause. Okay.
No. You're describing. Mathematics describes. I have two objects, right?
Describes reality. Yes.
But no, you're just describing reality. You're describing what's occurring, but you're not. There's no causal relationship there.
I'm the cause of one of it being 2 because I added it, or is it because there's 2?
If I have an object and I bring another object into play, I have two objects. I'm the cause of bringing the two objects together. The math describes what I just did, but it didn't cause that thing. It didn't cause it.
This is interesting.
Math is an
values are not causes.
Dawn and Arwen, hold on. I just want Zanek and Paul.
Okay. So again, explain to me how math has any causal power.
You change one of the variables and you get a different effect.
Who changed the variable?
Yes, you get a different outcome. You add. I
said no. Who changed the variable? Who changed it? Did math change it, or did you? Okay, so you're the cause.
You can do it. Anyone. You observe a distance. You can observe two distances, but me observing the distance did not cause the angle to change.
So observation is the causal a factor in this.
Hold on a second. Hold on. You observing? Hold on, Zanek. I just want to get clarity on that point. Sorry, Zanek, to interrupt. You said you observing an angle doesn't cause it to change. Well, no, if I sit looking at an angle, it doesn't change. You're right. So there is no effect to be observed. Unless you say maybe changing your position, for example? Do you understand? Do I
Zanuck,
need to
you there?
repeat it?
Yeah, you think the angle changes when you change your position?
No, I'm saying if I just observe something and you're saying I'm observing an angle, well, I'm just observing an angle. There is no change. Now you're saying if you observe an angle change, well, what's got to happen first? Maybe a move, maybe a repositioning, for example, to make the angle change? In other words, something's going to happen. The maths isn't going to suddenly cause that angle to change. You stay static.
Actually, it won't.
Maths
You have to
doesn't
actually-
cause the angle to change. You could change your position, but that would be you moving your position, wouldn't it? That's Paul's
Changing your
point.
position, the angle.
Stuttering and muttering over the top rather than giving a concise rebuttal. That's Paul's point. So don't talk till I finish. Wait till the end, then give a concise, clear rebuttal. His point, unless you physically change something, if you are static and observing an angle, whatever the hell that means, nothing's changing until you move or change something. That's Paul's point. Maths does not change the angle.
Your observation point does not change the angle either.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, it
there's a
would.
problem here with causation. This guy, Zanuck,
Exactly,
doesn't
that's my
understand
point.
Causation.
Exactly, that's
Yeah,
my
it doesn't
point. He
change.
doesn't understand. He thinks math causes something and it doesn't.
Yeah,
He thinks
you-
angles cause something and it doesn't.
Hold on, Paul.
Zanuck, can
Hold
you
on,
give me...
Anthony. Hold on. It was the conclusion. Paul's drug him around by his short hairs. He comes to make the conclusion Zanuck's going to rumpus him. Because that's the most important bit, right, Paul? So can you make your point again? Let's see if Rumpus can keep... not Rumpus. Rumpusing. Zanuck can keep his mouth shut while you make the conclusion again.
Math has no causal power whatsoever. Your observation has no causal power whatsoever. The only thing it may, if there's any effect in that, in your observation, is when I move and something is occurring in my brain, but it doesn't change what's going on out in the real world. Math has no power to do anything. It only describes.
I think Zanuck gets that, but
Obviously, he doesn't, because every time he says the angle changes, well, somebody changed. I mean, the angle did, yeah, the angle changed because something happened. Somebody moved, or my observation changed. The angle, your observational angle can change by something happening out there as well. It could be a refractive index. It could be who knows what. But until you eliminate all the variables, math causes nothing. Math describes.
you couldn't. Yeah, I agree. I was trying to think of a way.
Oh,
where someone could
wow.
work.
Somebody agreed with me. Holy cow. Mark that down. What was the timestamp?
That was Don agreeing with you.
Actually,
I
you're
think
incorrect.
manipulating one side of a triangle causes the angle of the triangle to change, but you're not changing reality in any way, are you? You're just
Triangle is a
changing your
conceptual thing,
picturing of
Don.
reality.
It's not actually
Yeah, I know
physical.
that. I'm just
I
trying to
can,
talk around it.
I can have a refractive index that changes it, or I can lengthen a side or observe it at a greater distance. Both can have the same
The
effect.
triangle to change, but it doesn't cause any effect in reality, does it?
That's the reality.
Wait,
You're
let's
changing
go
the
back to what
triangle.
Zanuck said something
No,
really
it's a
interesting. It's crucial.
derivative.
Wait a minute,
Math is a
wait a
derived
minute.
conceptual thing.
Hang on, Erwin. Zanuck said something very crucial. He says either the observer changes or the refractive index changes. There's two possible causes in this observation. Either the observer changes or the refractive index changes. You got to eliminate one of those two options to prove a cause.
All right, so limit it down to one possible cause and maybe vary that and see if it caused the effect, that sort of thing.
Yes.
You can do that.
How?
You can do that by observation. Get closer to that mountain.
No,
and see if that reflects.
observation makes no causal, has no causal power. Observation has no
We can change.
causal power.
Except in
Yeah, so
quantum
we-
mechanics.
For example,
Well, that's
we go
different,
from
yeah.
one-
No,
We
it's
go
not
from one corner of the
observation. Hold
triangle,
on,
go
I can't let that
to
slide.
that
It's not just.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not just observation in quantum mechanics. That's not correct, Darwin.
We're talking about the
The
observation.
observation part
That's
is the
the
only thing
dependent
that can be
variable, right? If you-
definitively confirmed.
Scientific method logic.
Sorry, Zanuck, your
We're
name's not Darwin.
The mountain's sinking.
That's
X
not
amount.
your name, Zanuck. Arwin.
Oh, do I need to repeat it?
Yeah, it's not observation. It's not cause observation. That's not the case.
Right. Technically, yes, through the reasoning system, but observation is really the only real thing that can be, confirmed, because it is like a physical interaction, as it were, of an individual. That is kind of the thing that makes it physically viable. So I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Well,
Never mind.
that's not true either. I mean, again, this is above my pay grade, but from my limited understanding of the delayed choice quantum eraser, it's a fire and forget experiment. You don't have to look at it at all.
Yeah, that's a true good point.
But then how do you know a result?
It's got what they call a coincidence counter, essentially a computer.
Okay, I'll just re-look into it.
Okay. I couldn't let that slide. Sorry.
All right, fine.
Well, it's not. Wait, just so I'm clear, it's not observation, right? It's the knowledge of the witch path information.
Yeah,
that
correct.
What does it?
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
I still look. I have still my doubts about it. Like, how would they even be able to know and isolate a path of a specific particle, as it were?
But they don't. They just observe which slit it goes through.
That doesn't make any sense. Then it's a purely ethereal concept.
No. Well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You say so.
Okay. Well, thanks. You just gave me another project. Thank you.
I mean, Right the Hand's got more of a point in the chat. He's saying knowledge is a concept. So if you want to say that knowledge of the witch path isn't a viable independent variable, I'd probably entertain that argument and put it to quantum eraser. But just saying, well, no, that's an ethereal concept. That's not really a great argument, are we?
Well, and also have him.
Of it, Tyrone, then.
Hold on,
Where's
Rumpusing.
the
What's going on?
physicality of it in order for you to manipulate it as an independent variable?
I didn't hear that. There was rumpusing at the start, Arwin. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so where then does the physicality aspect come in order for you to be able to confirm, a physical, a natural phenomena and a manipulation of the independent variable? If you can't grasp it somehow, then how, doesn't make sense. Then it's not science. Sorry.
I would like to say, how does you have to define what knowledge is considered an abstract concept? If knowledge is abstract, then it can't be concrete. So I don't. He'd have to unpack what he means by that.
Right. Doesn't mean that I won't entertain it though, but I'll entertain it on another level, just like I entertain the ball.
Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've heard people on this show say that math isn't reality. Why is math not reality?
Yeah, let me have
Or
this
why
one.
do you think that math is
I
reality?
wanted
Let
to
me have
go
this
ahead.
one. Let me have this one. Gents, let me
Sorry,
have it.
Paul. Anthony's going to have this one. You had the last one. Go ahead, Anthony.
So, if I've got 2 ice creams in my hands, right? Can you take 5 ice creams off me and leave me with -3 ice creams?
Hypothetically, yes.
Oh, really?
Sorry, bear with me. But hold on,
hypothetically.
hold on, Anthony. Sorry. Is a hypothetical real?
Oh, you could say that Anthony now owes me 2 ice creams.
Sorry, that's not my question. Is something that is hypothetical real?
No.
So math is not reality.
I give an example.
No, there is already an example. It's called Hilbert's Paradox of the Grand Hotel. Are you familiar with that?
No.
You should look it up. Basically, maths cannot be reality if you're going to leave me with -3 ice creams, because I've only got 2 to physically give you. Okay? So in mathematics only, can you take 5 off me and leave me with -3. But in real life, if I've only got 2 ice creams, I can only give you 2 ice creams. I can't give you 5.
Oh, I want to be pedantic for a
I
second.
have-
Really,
But you're-
really bad. So,
You're
Riley,
applying that to
what if
one
you were
concept.
lying about
Arwin, let
so
him
many
respond though. Arwin,
Ah.
let him. Come on.
Arwen, are you disrupting
Applying
the
it-
conversation?
I
I'm
guess
on
I
mute.
am.
I'm on mute.
Arwen, are you disrupting the conversation? I thought for sure that Nathan said Anthony. This is Anthony's. Was I mistaken? Are you disrupting this?
It's okay. Let the guy respond.
No, not him. I was asking Arwen if he was disrupting the conversation between Anthony and, is it Babs?
That's right, it's Babs.
That's me.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. So, Arwen, please don't disrupt the conversation. Thanks.
So can we have a response to my point, please, in mathematics?
Right. What I was saying is that you're applying it to one context. I could do the same thing, and I could say that if I have a cylinder and I want to know how much water, like how much volume I can put into that cylinder, I can get the area of the base and multiply it by the height in order to get the volume. And that applies to reality, and I'm using math to do that. So how is that not reality?
So look up Hilbert's paradox at a Grand Hotel. There's your answer. If you've only got a set amount of rooms in a hotel, no matter how many mathematical applications you apply to it, there's a limit to what you can physically put in there. But in mathematics, you can make infinite variables to however many problems you want to solve mathematically. But in real world, if you've only got 20 rooms, you've only got 20 rooms. That's why maths cannot be reality, because in mathematics, you've got creative license to do whatever you want. But in real world, you have physical limitations. That's why maths is not reality.
Okay, if it's not reality, how come it can be applied to things that do work in reality?
Oh, it can represent reality, but it can also represent nonsense. And it's distinguishing between that nonsense. You know, like how light follows the inverse square law? You can't see light indefinitely, but they tell us that we can see Jupiter at 360 million miles away. No, we can't. Jupiter cannot be that far away because light does not behave the way that mathematically you guys tell us it does. It's subject to the inverse square law. So real world, you can't see that far.
Okay, how do you spell Hilbert? Hilbert's principle.
Hilbert. Hilbert's paradox of the hotel.
Hilbert.
It's got a fixed amount of rooms. Okay. There's a fixed amount of people that can fit in it. You can't go beyond it.
Can I make a comment? Maybe it will help clear it up for him.
I'll give way, Paul. You got the mic.
Go ahead, Paul.
Math, or actually, I'll ask the question: is math a form of language? Would you agree with that? Or form of information transfer?
Yeah, I would agree to some.
You know, I have these things that run through my backyard all the time. They're called pink unicorns, and they poop cupcakes all over my backyard all the time. Gosh darn it. It's such a hard thing to clean up, but the cupcakes are sweet, so I actually bring them in and feed them to Lily. Now, is that reality?
Oh, that's just ridiculous, and it's not the same. It doesn't apply.
That's what Anthony's saying. Math can describe something that doesn't exist, just like language can describe something that doesn't exist.
That doesn't make language fake. Language is still real.
I didn't say that. And I've said this already. I've already said this in my description. Math describes, but that doesn't mean math is reality.
Correct.
So with
describes reality.
Well, yes, describes, but no matter how well you describe a rock, you can give me it in terms of its absolute dimensions, its volume, whatever. You can give it me in all sorts of different quantifications and descriptions, and I can have an endless ream of paper with endless descriptions, mathematical and verbal, for a rock. But those will never be a rock, ever. The rock is reality. The verbalization or mathematical description is just that, a description.
So we're separating descriptions from actual things that exist in reality.
Right on, sister.
Okay.
The moment you realize that you cannot take 5 ice creams off of Riley if he's only got 2, that's when you realize math is not reality. Yes, you could describe it with it, but it's not actually reality. Because you can't have negative 3 ice creams.
Right. I mean, I know that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the it not being reality when it's actually describing reality. I get your point that, you know, it's just it's something that we're using to interpret what we're seeing. It's not necessarily what we're seeing. So I'm just having a hard time making the separation. Yeah.
So you need to read the Hilbert's hotel paradox. You need to understand what that point makes, and then you'll be able to work it out forevermore, and you'll realize that maths can describe reality, but maths is not reality. It's numbers, it's symbols, it's equations, it's formulas, whatever you want to describe maths as, but it's not reality.
And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley stream, unfortunately, this is where we bid you farewell. A massive, huge, enormous thank you for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely join. Also, of course, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this debate possible. Stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!